Joining me to talk about where the races stand, Republican analyst Amy Frederiksen and DFL analyst About Amara. Welcome and thank you both for coming in. All right, let's talk about the governor's race. A recent poll by KSTP showed Lisa Demuth gaining ground on Mike Lindell. She's still in second. Is it possible, Amy, for Lisa Demuth to make up this ground and win this primary?
Well, very much so. And what we're seeing is, originally in a poll a few weeks ago, right after President Trump endorsed Mike Lindell, there was 22% of that poll still undecided. And so that means folks have not decided, right? But they're likely to vote in the primary. Now we've seen 16. So we see the undecideds slowing, getting smaller, and Lisa's numbers growing, and right at exactly the same time.
And so at the right time.
And at exactly the right time. So with this momentum and still 16% undecided, it's entirely possible that she closes that gap by Tuesday.
But Lindell's still the favorite in your view?
You know, I mean, I think I'm not sure about that. There's been some troubling stories that have come out, and again, she's on the momentum where he's just sort of staying stagnant.
Well, Abu, since you're the Democrat, let's pivot to the fall election in the governor's race, and I want to put up a graphic here about the amount of money, cash on hand. For Amy Klobuchar, at least $3.4 million, Lisa Demuth, $543,000, and Mike Lindell, $38,000. This is a full state campaign, and those are the numbers. Amy Klobuchar has got to be sitting pretty right now.
Look, there's no question that Amy Klobuchar is a strong candidate. We've known that for a long time. But I think what it really says is that regardless of the Republican side, they're not confident they can beat Amy Klobuchar whatsoever. So her $3.4 million is strong. But the fact that the others are really in the hundreds of thousands says Minnesotans don't think they can win.
And Lisa Demuth may have spent that. She has been running a lot of ads, and a lot of ads all over the place. So she's putting in a lot of money in these final weeks for the primary.
Well, correct. But by the way, I always say this, people always kind of say, well, they're spending money on a primary. That's not money wasted. That's money getting her name ID out there in August when no one's, you know, like when normally there would not be a lot of coverage of a race if she were just the candidate, right? It would be state fair, it would be summer, it would be a quieter time. And so people always fear a primary for that reason. I don't. That money spent is not money wasted. She has a name ID gap behind Senator Klobuchar, obviously, and spending that money on a primary doesn't hurt. But that is to not ignore the challenge. Right, that is not to ignore the challenge that many millions will need to be raised from August 11th by whoever is running until November.
All right, let's talk about the money in the U.S. Senate race, because Angie Craig has $3.3 million cash on hand. Peggy Flanagan, $1 million. Clearly, the ads that are running are unevenly. They're more in favor of Angie Craig, both from herself and from outside groups. Does that sway people?
Look, money matters. Look, this is going to be a close race, and it's going to be one on the margins. And so spending on the margins as you're raising the consciousness of voters is going to matter. And Angie Craig has an echo chamber right now of spending, and I think that's going to marginally make a difference. It could be the reason she ultimately ends up winning on Tuesday.
Okay, so do you think that it's hers to win?
Either person can win. If I had to say, based on the spending, I think Angie's a slight favorite.
All right. I want to ask you about the Republican race for U.S. Senate. Michelle Tafoya is miles ahead in a number of surveys over the two other candidates. What is going on, and how has she solidified this lead so quickly and so easily?
Yeah, she's really running away with it, 30 points by the latest poll. And frankly, she's not had to spend, we go back to spending, she's not had to spend a lot of reserve on that. But that shows this power of having name ID. And she is a very attractive candidate with tremendous name ID. And honestly, I think what this signals is, statewide, Republicans have not won a race in 20 years, and they're tired of it. And they're saying, enough. We want to win. She was the best candidate at the endorsing convention. She's the best candidate on the primary ballot. From a Republican electability standpoint, there's just no denying that. You can like who you want, but from an electability standpoint, and I think Republicans are just saying, all right, I'm in. I want to win.
Okay. I want to talk about the Democratic primary in the 2nd Congressional District, where you have 3 prominent Democrats facing each other. All have held elective office in the 2nd Congressional District, now represented by Angie Craig. We've got Kayla Berg, state representative. We've got Senator Matt Klein, who's also a physician, and the former Lakeville Mayor Matt Little. We have seen an influx of ads for Matt Klein, who is also, again, a physician. What is going on there?
Yeah, I think what you're seeing is two progressive candidates, and Matt Klein
in
being
in
Bergen Little, and then Matt Klein, the moderate, hoping to be kind of the Goldilocks candidate. Often in these races, you have a juxtaposition between the progressive and the moderate. Here, if the progressive base is split, Matt Klein could sneak through and get a plurality of the vote, maybe something like 38, 40, 42%, and get through. And so I think a lot of folks nationally are saying this is an opportunity to push back against some of the progressive movements we're seeing across the country.
And his ads have been on a lot, and I think they're quite well done.
They're well done. Remember, he's a Mayo doctor, well respected. I think this is a narrative in a district. Remember, this is the most competitive district in the state of Minnesota. It's split 50-50, Republicans and Democrats.
Right.
So
it's the only competitive
district. And so folks feel like if they can get Matt Klein through, that might make the difference.
We have to talk about the Wisconsin governor's race because it's making headlines around the country. It appears that Francesca Hong, a young Asian American, is going to win the Democratic primary. She is a Democratic socialist through and through, and Republicans are having a field day because they say this is great. Tom Tiffany is going to win in November. Your thoughts?
Look, there's no question this is a moment of choosing for the Democratic Party. You're seeing massive consolidation with the establishment towards David Crowley, who's the Milwaukee County executive, in hopes of stopping Francesca Hong. If she's on the ballot in November, it's not just going to be bad for Wisconsin Democrats, it's going to be bad for national Democrats having to explain why things like canceling Thanksgiving is a bad idea.
Which she at one point contemplated or whatever. She now says it's her favorite holiday, but she did raise questions about the viability of Thanksgiving, which is not something you're going to do if you win elections.
Look, this is what's been going on with the Democrat Party across the nation. Abdul al-Sayed in Michigan, even Zerani in New York. The left progressives are largely winning in these contested primaries. Francesca Hong, by all numbers, is not just going to maybe win, the likely winner
by a lot.
By a lot. And you know, what does that mean for Republicans? I always say be careful who you wish for to be on the ballot against you, because if someone is exciting and charismatic, it can come back to bite you.
Yeah.
You know, to be excited that they won the primary. But I do think there's a tremendous advantage to Tom Tiffany to have Francesca Hong on. And I also say, when I'm talking about our U.S. Senate race here with the Democrat primary between progressive, unapologetic progressive Peggy Flanagan and the more moderate Congresswoman Angie Craig, that's why you have to, despite the money, despite all of that, you can't ignore the fact that progressives are excited, they're empowered, and they're voting in big numbers and surprising people.
Right, and there are many Republicans who say they would prefer to run against Peggy Flanagan, and you're saying, again, be careful what you wish for.
Well, I would just say be careful what you wish for, but yes, of course. I mean, she certainly bears the Walz Flanagan administration fraud badge, which has not been brought up hardly at all in this primary, but should have been.
Well, thank you both for coming in. If you want to hear more from these two, we have a conversation I had with them earlier this week on YouTube. Just go to WCCO and YouTube page and search for Talking Points. We also will have these two on election night at 9 o'clock on CBS News Minnesota for a full hour. So you guys are the best. It'll be a lot of fun.
Everybody tune in.
Looking forward to it. Should be fun.